Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Dana Terry with Close to My Heart, and this is video number 2 in my 3-part series of my 30-day scrapbook sketch challenge with my Chrissy's Beautiful Life 30-day sketch. So we are picking up with day number 11, and this is the sketch that was used for day 11. And the title here, or the prompt here, is tabs and labels. And you can see with this sketch, it had quite a few photos to include. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a bunch of tiny ones over here. So I held relatively true to the sketch, and I had a lot of pictures of my cousin's newborn baby photos. So this side holds very true to the sketch. I did lots of tags and tabs, a fun little title. And then over here, I did the same thing, tags and tabs. And here I varied a little bit. So I just did strips of 2-inch circles or squares going across, and a 4x4 photo, and then 2x2 photos on the top and the bottom. Now, we talked in my part 1 video about sometimes not having enough photos for a 2-page spread, and that's why one single page layout is effective. Sometimes you have so many photos that it's hard to even get on a 2-page. So that's when flip flaps come in handy. So in this case, I even added some extra photos with a couple little flip flaps. So what I'll do here is I'll just cut a slit in my page protector and put that right into my page protector with the flip flap coming through the slit. So this was a fun one because I actually got to add more photos. So I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 photos on one layout. And it turned out just beautiful. We'll now go on to our day 12 layout. I really like this one. This was a polka dot prompt. My paper is not a true polka dot, but I felt like it was close enough to being polka dots. I love this picture. It's not the best picture. And one of the things I like about scrapbooking is that it's really about capturing the memories, right? So this is a picture of my daughter and my mother. And these two really are birds of a feather. So they are so much alike. So I guess it just skips a generation, right? So these two are just so much alike. Unfortunately, my mother has passed, and it's like her soul just lifted out of her body and landed into my daughter's body somehow. So I really wanted to capture how similar these two are in this particular layout. So again, it's not the best picture, but it tells the best story for me. And they are both bird lovers. So this one was really fun. I did some ink splotching here with my Distress Oxides. I did cut, obviously, horizontally and brought in the circle. I did a lot of stamping and markering here and blending, which was a lot of fun. You can't tell very well. I'm in an angle. Hopefully you can. I added some shimmer brush. So the shimmer is mostly on this bird as opposed to this bird because I wanted my birds to be very distinctly different yet similar. And then some throughout the flowers. Now here on my title, I cut that out on the Cricut in the new Harbor paper, but then I also went over that with the shimmer brush, and I'm not sure if you're seeing that on camera, but it just turned out really nice with the effect, kind of like the shine in the bird's feathers as well. Also added a little bit of the stickles, and then a couple flowers up here. So I was very, very happy with how this sketch turned out. It's a little different from the original sketch and how everything looks here. But when you think about it, the sketch itself is very true to the actual sketch. The embellishments are just slightly different. So let's go to day 13. This one is very busy. The prompt was sequins. So when you're thinking sequins, I'm thinking it's going to be pretty glitzy and glamoury. So this base page was pretty full to begin with, and I decided just to really glam it up. So this picture is my friend and I. Whenever we get together, we go shopping, and whenever we shop, we usually buy diamonds, which obviously doesn't happen often because we can't afford to buy that many diamonds. But this was a lot of fun. So as far as techniques go, you can see the ombre I have here in the stamping. So that was a lot of fun. And this stamp is actually a stamp that is 2 lines, so it's some things never change. So I did some surgery on that and cut it apart and was able to do the ombre on that. I fussy cut out of a PML card for the U Sparkle and put that on there. I did some paper tearing here. Hopefully you can see that, and put just a tiny bit of stickles along the tear because these colors were so similar. I wanted a little bit more distinction there. So I added some stickles. Lots of dimension in my stickers, which is pretty typical of myself. For the sequins, I just brought them in around the circle here. And then I added the diamond stickles, you notice, stickles in the center of the sequins to give them that little shimmer look. And then for my journaling, I decided to do strip journaling, which I don't normally do, but I didn't want another big square piece of paper here. I wanted all of this background to show through. So I decided to do the strip journaling with this one instead. So very busy, but lots of fun and lots of different techniques pulled into there. Okay, for day 14. Now, I do have to say this is probably one of my favorites. This one is a mixed media challenge. So you see that they have the hexagons. So I knew I would probably want to do hexagons. I brought in the mixed media first. So that was the first thing I did with the Distress Oxides. I brought in the blue first, and then I brought in the mustard seed yellow color. So that was the base, and I kind of did that in my visual triangles all through the white base. The next thing I did is I brought in a stencil that was this honeycomb type shape stencil. But instead of coloring in the stencil, I used a journaling pen and I hand traced them individually. So it took me a little while, but not too long. And then I came in and kind of squiggled in some of them to give them some extra visual interest and texture. So I did that, and then I placed my photos and my hexagons. My photos are popped up, and then my hexagons are flat, and then except this one's popped up. So I tucked in my black leaves, similar to the sketch. I kind of wanted to follow that a little bit. I did add some white journaling or gel pen to my leaves. So another like medium to that. And then I also brought in my gloss sprays. And I just splattered a lot of the gloss spray around here. And I used 2 colors. So I did the cheddar, I think it was, and the midnight blue. So I added that. I also added some black stars stamping. So there's a lot of mediums on here, on top of just the stickers and everything else. So I really, really like how this one turned out. And it's definitely one of my favorites, but lots of fun. A lot of fun putting this one together. And I held pretty true to the sketch, but mine just filled up the full page as opposed to staying kind of in the center lane of the 12 by 12. Okay, this one had a challenge prompt of the scallops. So here you see they have scallops down each side of the column here. Because they had this wood grain pattern on their sample, I was thinking wood grains. So I went to my wood grain pack and I found this wood grain and I thought that was really unique. And so I decided to use it. Unfortunately, you can see I did stick with the scallop thing. It doesn't show up really well. It's a little subtle, but I'm okay with that. This is an example of one photo of my brother and sister-in-law I pulled off of Facebook, so I only had one. Again, I'm using the In Full Bloom paper packet and the die cuts, the punch outs. And I don't really have a big title. I have a subtitle here and a subtitle here. But I like how the black kind of pulls in. Excuse me. And then I use the white gel pen, again, to highlight some of the black. So I just really liked how this base page pulled into the In Full Bloom again. Now this one for day 16 was a journaling prompt. So what I did, this is actually Christmas. This is a story of my two grandsons. These are the, this is the art board that I bought them because I'm so passionate about art and expression through art. And they each wrote their name, and I think it's neat that I can tell how each one of them wrote their name that year. But the story and the journaling behind this is that, unbeknownst to me, this would be the last time I would see them since then. So this was December 2019, and unfortunately I have not seen them since then. So my journaling talks about how this is the last time I've seen them, and unfortunately right now there is no plans to see them in the near future. So it's kind of like, here's the last time I've seen them, and here's how they wrote their names at that time. So it's kind of an interesting story. And of course, then using the Christmas papers as well. So what I did is I cut my heart, 2 hearts, and then I cut a 3rd heart with the scallops. But then I just chopped that one up. So I put some here, here, and here. Of course, I popped up one photo and overlapped it over the other photo and just added lots of little embellishments throughout. So I think I held relatively true to the sketch on this one. Now this one is another double page layout. You can see it's hand done, and the prompt was flare. So to me, I wasn't really sure what flare meant, but I knew I wanted it to be like, wow. So again, this is my cousin and her baby shower. And I decided that wow would include glitter and glitter paper. So I also wanted to highlight the March Cardstock Carnival. So this is the Cardstock Carnival UV cardstock, and lots of glitter. So I really dug into my stash for many of these embellishments. I held pretty true to the basic sketch, except over here I only have 1 photo instead of 2. But I've got my 2 circles, I got my 4 pictures here, and I've got my 1 picture here with my title across the top. I did put the circle around here, which was a lot of fun. A little embellishment cluster here. Again, this was a layout where I actually had extra photos, so I incorporated the flip flaps. So when I put this in my page protector, I'll cut slits and just, stick that right through the page protector. I did some stamping to kind of bring in the neutrals because there is so much shine and glitter on this. So I brought in the black, Perfectly Imperfect again, And I also brought in just a little bit of the black pearls. But I dug into my stash on the stickers and all of these glitter pieces. And that was a lot of fun to just go stash diving. So that is what I would consider flair. So let's see, that was day 17. This is day 18. So this is probably the one that I deviated the most from the actual sketch. Again, they used the hexagons in the sketch, and there's several sketches with hexagons, and I do love a hexagon, but I decided that I wasn't going to go with the hexagons for this particular one. These are pictures of the grandkids again on the piano, and I just decided to do something to tie in their red shirts and very fun and playful. So I pulled in pieces from a couple of different pattern papers. And again, because this is so bright, I used that mink background paper to kind of ground it a little bit. And I think it turned out well. Not quite exactly like the sketch, but I'm still extremely happy with it. And I have to share one little story on this one. So my sticker sheet had the word play, but it was missing the L. And so I just traced where the L was going to be and cut out a green piece of cardstock. And that was going to be fine for me. And I was putting everything together. And then I had this arrow sticker. And I pulled it out and I was kind of auditioning it around the layout for where I might be able to add the avocado green. Because I had some here and kind of playing with it. And I pulled it up and it fit exactly on top of where I had that green L. So you can't see it because it's like perfect fit, but I just love how that worked out. So there's a little secret story for you there about my L. The A is for awesome came from a Picture My Life card out of the Smarty Pants paper packet. And a lot of this came from the Sweet Safari kit. And some of it was just papers that I pulled from here and there and a little everywhere. So I hope you like that one. That was kind of a different deviation. So this one is probably one of my second favorites. I was really nervous about doing this one. The journaling prompt was doodling. I didn't really know what doodling meant for a scrapbook page. So I actually did doodle it. So I put a picture of me. This is just a picture I took one night when I did my hair in the evening, and it was like, oh, my hair looks really good, so I'm just going to take a selfie. So I had this picture laying around, never did anything with it. And I do a lot of hand doodling just as kind of a relaxation thing sometimes when I'm watching TV. And so I decided just to take the prompt literally and did some doodling, and I followed the sketch and doodled, you know, down here and up here. I did do some grid paper diagonally across, and then I added the ink. So this is some Distress Oxide ink that I just blended in with my blending brush and brought it down and over here a little bit. And then I added lots of black circles with my journaling pen, and then I came in once I was done and added just a little bit of black splatter from my shimmer brush. So and then I added the little side over here just like the sketch. And what I did is I put, you know, the photo was taken this time and the artwork was done at this time, so I would know in the future when the artwork was done. And for the title, I put artist because I think even as scrapbookers, we're all true artists. And I cut these out again multiple times and glued them all together so this kind of stands out a little bit more boldly. So again, this is one of my top favorite, my top 5, we'll say. And finally for this one, is day 20, and the prompt here was background pattern paper. I think I held pretty true to the sketch. This floral kind of thing threw me off in the beginning, and I didn't want to do florals. So I used pictures from a trip that I took with my friend. We went to a place in Arkansas, and we were looking for a waterfall, and we found a creek and a stream. And so we just sat there. It was Easter, and so it was just starting to warm up, and we just sat there in the sun for a couple hours and just recharged our batteries and relaxed and talked. And so you'll notice here I've got my rule of 3, so I've got my 3, and the way I position my photos is important with this, because you see that she's facing in and I'm facing in, as opposed to switching them around where we'd both be facing out. So that's maybe something important to keep in mind as far as a technique or a tip with this particular layout. I did add my journaling up here, and then all of my embellishments throughout. Another secret with this particular layout I'll share is that this pattern paper here, I really wanted to use, and I only had 2 strips of it that are 4 inches, but I was able to marry them together and just glue them down. You can't even tell the seam underneath there. So don't discard your scraps. You know, sometimes you think you don't have enough for something, and you can surprise yourself sometimes. So I was super excited that I was able to use this particular pattern of paper on this layout. And you can't even tell that it's 2 pieces. So little secret for you. So that wraps up 11 through 20. And we will pause the video, and we will come back with 21 through 30. Please stay tuned.